Okay, hi everybody. I am back and I'm hoping that this is recording properly, but if it's not, I'm sorry. I don't have proper audio for this. I think we all know by now that every YouTuber starts out pretty small when they start out. So, I'm doing a reading quarter because I love reading out loud. I don't know what it is, but I've always wanted to be like a narrator, an audiobook storyteller, that kind of thing. And don't ask me why I wanted to do this while I'm sick and clearly still sick, because it's probably not going to be very fun for you guys. But I just like, I don't know, there's something about saying words out loud and enjoying the fact that you're the one delivering the story that just gets me alive. And reading it by myself sometimes gets really lonely because I'm like, I want to gasp with somebody else. I want to be like, oh, did you hear that? And then it's just me. So, today we're going to be reading Little Gods by Meng Jing. And I'm probably saying that wrong, but I tried. The reason why we're doing this book is for two reasons. Number one, it's my book. I got it at the AWL. Um, I don't know what it stands for, but it's a writing, basically like a writing conference association that was held in Philadelphia last year, and there were tons of like free books, free stuff. Oh, I love it so much. Anyways, so I got a copy of this, and I recently just picked it up because I've been trying to work my way through those books, and I read it, and it was really good. So, excuse me. Hopefully you didn't hear that because that's embarrassing. But now I'm gonna read it to you guys, and it's golden hour. This is like my favorite time, where it's just past sunset, so it's a little light, but it's only gonna be light for maybe like 10 minutes, and then it's gonna be dark. Okay, let's get started. I'm actually even gonna put a timer on. You guys, I'm so fancy. I just had it on and it disappeared on me. Open timer. There we go. Okay, so 10 minutes starting now. Little Gods by Minji. I'm not even going to give you the preview because, y'all, we're just going to start right into it. Alright, turning off my fan. Sorry if that was noisy. The End. June 3rd through the 4th, 1989. I also want to be just really better about my diction, so excuse me if I go over words and just like try my hardest, okay? From above, the heart of the city is easy to see. Beijing is a bullseye. Concentric ring roads close in toward the old city walls, now paved into wide avenues. The avenues form a tight band around the heart, the the south-facing gates, the moated palace, the desert square. Desert. The desert square. On a map, diminishing circles draw in the eye as if to say, come. Bodies have come. In the square, bodies sit, stand, and lie on the hot paved stone. The square was built for 600,000 bodies. For weeks, there have been more. Rats sniff between folds of newspaper. Flies regurgitate on sunburned shins. Roaches scuttle across sleeping toes. Women in white uniforms weave through carrying metal tanks, spraying disinfectant where concrete shows. From above, this movement looks like a primitive organism, breathing. In the nucleus, a burst of color radiates and contracts, as bodies leave the square, return, and leave again. West of the outer ring, a dark mass gathers, troops preparing to enter. In every city and circumstance, there are those who will go on with living. In the east quadrant, an old man circles his hut-hung courtyard for a morning stroll. By the northern lake, a young couple wakes to Tian Mi Mi on the radio. South of the train station, three boys race to catch a hen escaping her coop. Between the second and third ring roads, a woman crosses a canal bridge on her walk to work. The woman has a round and candid face, and her hair, striped with white, has been brushed neatly off her forehead. She carries a sensible black purse over her shoulder that has served her for a good part of a decade. She is not chubby, but her bones are sturdy, and she commands more space than a woman should. Normally, this woman, a nurse, bikes to the hospital where she works, her lightly permed hair clipped at the base of her neck, a thin shawl draped over her arms to protect her skin from the sun. In recent weeks, the streets have been too crowded. She has had to take her feet off the pedals and tow her way through. This morning, she has decided to walk the 2 kilometers. She clutches her purse to her side and steps through the people standing in her way. She advances slowly. Sweat beads on her lower back. She walks past the complex of luxury apartments. In one of the top windows, she imagines a woman, not unlike herself, looking down and shaking her head. She heard once that wives of disposed government officials are given rooms here as a consolation prize, and ever since she has thought of these buildings as the widow's tower. Whenever she sees them, she is reminded of how she wouldn't mind so much being a widow. Being a widow would give her a simple answer for the question of why she has no husband. The faces crowding the nurse are young, the faces of children. The nurse has never been so foolish as to have children of her own. She learned long ago that she does not like what children grow into. She remembers herself as a high school student, how her grown-up heart felt trapped in her adolescent body. Looking back, it is clear that the opposite was true. Her body had become more mature. As a result of this mistake, in the early days of the Cultural Revolution, she and her classmates stoned to death their high school physics teacher, a reasonable woman who wore her long hair in a bun at her neck. This is what the nurses see in the faces of the children around her. A hunger for revolution. Any great revolution, whatever it stands for, so long as where you stand is behind its angry fist. Little gods, she thinks, desperate to turn their growing bodies, their own aches and despairs, into material that might reset the axis of the world. What did it boil down to but children, giddy with breaking the rules? She arrives at the hospital 3 minutes past 7 and heads to the end of the north corridor. In the nursery, her colleague is counting the newborns. There are 8, 5 boys, and 3 girls, and they are lined up next to each other with the tops of their heads along the wall, swaddled under the incubation lamps like loaves of warm bread. The nurse cares for infants in a way that she cannot their grown counterparts. Perhaps it's because they are so helpless, nothing more than potential. She cares for them with the hope that they will grow into humans, She cares for them with the hope that they will grow not into humans, but rather become something entirely new. Did you hear? Her colleague asks. Last night, a car ran over some students. The question comes bursting out as if the girl had been holding it in all night. No license plate, nothing, she continues. And they say they found guns and helmets inside. Already there is bloodshed. What will it come to? Her colleague is a slim girl who wears her hair in pert ponytail and just finished school the year before. The nurse finds her overly excitable. She hangs up her purse and changes into her frock. I guess you'd better go and check the delivery unit, her colleague says, and the nurse exits through the swinging doors. The delivery unit is at the opposite end of the building, adjacent to the operating rooms. To reach it, the nurse must walk through the handful of maternity ward. Maternity ward. Here, at 7:15 in the morning, a handful of pregnant women are waiting with their families at the check-in window for their numbers to be called. The nurse walks quickly, fixing her gaze ahead, but before she can reach the door at the end of the hall, her path is blocked by a face. It is a small face, with small, plain features, so plain, in fact, that the face resembles a blank paper on which anything can be drawn. The mouth on the face moves, dots of sweat filming the edge where lips meet skin. For a long moment, the nurse does not understand that the face belongs to a person, a woman, pregnant, nearly fully term. The woman's voice is soft and pleading, and the nurse does not hear what it's saying. She cannot stop looking at the woman's blank face, at the mouth moving, the lips shaping, the wet tongue swelling, the slivers of teeth emerging and disappearing. Finally, she steps back, blinking, and hears, "Aye, my name is Sulan. Please help me. Here is my husband." And the woman pulls forward a man. "We are not from Beijing. We arrived just last week." The nurse pushes past. A shudder moves up her neck. It is not that she has never been accosted for help in the halls of this hospital before. No, something disturbing cuts through this woman's voice. A desperation so bare it's indecent. The nurse does not take a good look at the couple, but she has the impression that they are handsome and well dressed. City people, even if they aren't from Beijing. Not in any case the type of people who should beg. And that's it, guys. That is a 10-minute story, and I hope you will stay tuned. I will be doing this more often, even though it probably won't get views. See you next time.